tune from the Mehndi. Resilience has been a very key ingredient for his success.
For our keynote speaker, we have a super interesting leader who I think is a corporate monk. Someone who's selflessly sharing his messages, learnings, touching so many lives across the globe with what he does. So dear audience, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Nitin Dua, the co-founder, managing director at Hilfey Tech. They partner with CEOs and leaders of health, SaaS, and insurance organizations for revenue growth and go-to-market strategies in the US, India, and Middle East. Nitin sir is also a health coach who's passionate about empowering us all to work towards our health by advocating health awareness via his YouTube channel, Health with Nitin Dua, which provides support for mental health, diabetes, lifestyle issues, and holistic integral preventive health. He's been in leadership roles at venture-backed health companies such as Twin Health, participated in $100 million revenue growth journeys at Innovaxer. It is my pleasure to invite Mr.
Thank you so much, Anvi, for such a warm welcome and such kind words. Thank you, Anjali, and thank you to my family who's here, and thank you to each one of you. Your presence means a lot to me. Thank you. All right, so now coming to the topic, resilience. I gathered some definitions from the dictionary to start with. What does resilience really mean? So I'm going to just read it out to you here. So the dictionary says resilience is an ability to recover from or adjust easily from tough situations or crisis. And if I may add, enrich oneself, learning from failures, learning from mistakes along the way. And any mistakes that I'm going to make or I've already made is in the name of resilience today. Yeah. And by the way, we have a ritual now at home in my family. My wife is here, my daughter is here, my dad is here. Every time I actually make a big failure or a small failure, I actually dance to which I've created for myself as some of you might recognize this tune, a tune from the Mehndi. So every time I make a failure, or she makes a failure, or my daughter does something, I remember myself to dance to that tune, just to celebrate that failure. So I'm just going to start by saying we got to enjoy it. And let's read out the American Psychological Association's definition to this. They say resilience, which in Hindi, for the Hindi audience, Pratirod Shamta, Lachilapan, that's the term that's used, is the process and outcomes of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and adjustment to external and internal demands. Well, that feels like a mouthful, yeah, but this is what the definition says. Now, an important thing that I want to highlight is, we're talking about resilience for the entire next 3 hours. Let's spend, a few seconds on why this matters. Why resilience? Why are we talking about this? Because in my experience over the last several years, in corporate as well, or anything else that meaningful that I've done in life so far, I have seen when you actually have the why sorted, there's a very different drive to pursue the what and how. Because that follows once your why is sorted. And I've had the privilege of working with different mentors throughout my life at global levels. And one of my mentors shared this, and I echoed his sentiment here. What the world needs today, in terms of the biggest change, is a psychological change, especially in today's world and today's context. So this is why resilience matters, right? And we're going to just spend some time now to look into how it matters for different people in different contexts. So Anvi made a kind introduction for me on the business side. I do spend a lot of time on the business side, and I look for people where I can also learn from and what they've done towards resilience and how they look at resilience. So this gentleman right here is, some of you might recognize, his name is Jensen Huang, and he's the CEO of NVIDIA. NVIDIA today is by market capitalization, which means how much market share. It's around $2.8 trillion last I checked. The numbers keeps on changing, but they are the third largest company in the world by market capitalization. just behind Microsoft and Apple. They are above the parent company Google. So that's the size of the company. And by the way, this gentleman himself shared multiple times that NVIDIA, in these last 2 decades has gone nearly bankrupt. Just like Tesla has and others, right? And they have shown resiliency to come, with the character they have, and that's the amount of talent they're driving towards. But I want to draw your attention towards what he's been speaking about resilience in the context of success. So he's given a speech, as some of you shared here. Anvi shared that I did my electrical engineering at Stanford. So Jensen was giving a speech to this kind of audience, to Stanford audience, and he's speaking to a panelist who asks him, what makes you successful? And one of the key things that he brings out is, according to him, resilience has been a very key ingredient for his success. And it doesn't come easy.
I think one of my great advantages is that I have very low expectations. and I mean that. Most of the Stanford graduates have very high expectations. You deserve to have high expectations because you came from a great school. You were very successful. You're top of your class. Obviously, you were able to pay for tuition. And then you're graduating from one of the finest institutions on the planet. You're surrounded by other kids that are just incredible. You naturally have very high expectations. People with very high expectations have very low resilience. And unfortunately, resilience matters in success. I don't know how to teach it to you except for I hope suffering happens to you.
But one of the ways that he's experienced in his life is to actually experience the pain and struggle and the suffering. And what you build as a result of that is an outcome of the process that you've gone through. And he does it, and he says it in a way that it brings a great joy, even in his company too, not just personally for himself, but also for NVIDIA as a company.
Until I see you in the next video, this is Nitin Dua, serving you with love.